Yep. So today we're going to be covering, let's start with some of these advanced physics concepts. And this is not scripting, so I feel like it'll kind of be easier to warm up with. But yeah, before we do that, let's just cover what we did yesterday real quick. So we have one major component here right now, and that's the player, right? So we kind of had this player a little bit in the beginning when we were doing the music video. Technically, he didn't really do much. Player was just kind of in the middle of the whole thing. But we learned how to create our own custom behaviors, our own custom components. And the one major one that we did was we created this shoot ball script. So it's a very simple script that, if you just click on the player and you open it right there, all it does is we're defining a public transform, which is basically a prefab. We're defining that, and then we'll call it whatever we want, and we're calling it my ball prefab. And on update, so that's every frame, we're checking if the left mouse button has been pressed down. And the way that you know it's left mouse button is because it's 0 here. Left mouse button is 0, right mouse button is 1. And then we're doing instantiate my ball prefab. So now again, this script doesn't know what a ball is, doesn't know what a my ball prefab really means. The only way you can actually tell this script that that's what you're shooting is once you have this public transform here, then here it shows up in the inspector, and you can drag it in. Like here I have the burger prefab. So I'm using this burger prefab, and I drag that in there and I shoot it. So if I drag in a burger and I shoot, I'm shooting burgers. If I drag in a soccer ball, I'm shooting soccer balls. So that's the basic concept. Now, we're not technically shooting them from this script. This script is just creating them. What's actually making the ball move is there's a script on this ball as well. Ball has physics, and it's got this ball fire script. I would honestly, there's a better way to name that. But the only thing that this does is it gets the rigid body off of itself, and it says that the velocity is equal to the forward facing direction of the camera times 10, which is like speed of, 10 meters per second, or approximately. So, and that only happens on start. So once it starts, it kind of shoots out, and then physics takes over from there, and friction and stuff just kind of stops it eventually. So that's pretty much like all we did for this, and that's all it takes to have, and now you can create more kinds of these interactions, and start spawning multiple items like this. So now what we're gonna kind of get into is I'm gonna show you just some more cool physics stuff that you can do that's not related to scripting yet, but you're gonna see how it actually can be used with the script to achieve a pretty cool effect. So the first thing that I want you to do is you can choose to use one of the characters that maybe you already have in your package. But what I'm going to actually go ahead and do is I'm going to go to Mixamo again, and I'm going to choose another character this time. So for people that don't have an account to Mixamo, it's free. It's just an Adobe account, so I recommend that you get one. If not, I do believe that we have our character here, right? The guy that I had. Where's the guy? In here in weekend 1. Oh, I ended up dragging him into materials. Oops, my bad. Yeah, there's a character here in materials for those that downloaded my package. It's called Kea. That's this guy, the not so reggae guy, and not so Jamaican guy. And we got character right there. Or you could do the same thing that we did here and just go to characters, Mixamo, store characters, and pick any character that you want. This is the character that we're going to use as our goal man, as our soccer goalie. So I usually like to use this marker man because I feel like he's very basic. And
can you show your Animator again?
oh yes, absolutely. So yeah, for those that if you don't have internet access, just go to the VR Bootcamp network and just VR Bootcamp as password. It might be, because I'm Etherneting my laptop and then I'm sharing it, so maybe. So that should be available there. So the crucial thing that we want, and here on Mixamo, and if you don't want to go on Mixamo right now, that's fine, and you could just use the character that's already there, and you could use the dance animation also. You know, he can dance in front of the goal. That's fine. But the one that I actually want to go for here is, was that you? Something like a ready animation, right? So we want our goalie to look like he's ready. His breakdance ready. It's not really what I want. I want something that looks like.
Just search for idol.
Yeah, no.
Tons of idol ones right there.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah, this one, goalkeeper idol. There's actually one that's perfect, right? So I go to add to pack, view download, queue download, and yeah, I'll put this up on Slack so it's just faster for everyone too. Once I download it, so queue download. And there it is. So I'm just going to put it up on Slack too.
Can I go to animations? Should I see a bunch? Or is it per character?
We'll go to character first, go to store and then character. And when you pick the character, then it opens up the whole animation dialog as well.
Okay.
So I got this passive marker man here on Slack as well. Right there. So yeah, you get the zip file, and it's the same thing that we did before too. You extract the zip file, and inside the zip file there will be a character file and an animation file. So you just pull both of those into Unity. It should show up right there. So now what I want you to do is, we're preparing our project right now. I'm actually going to get rid of this guy and this soccer ball. I don't need it. And what I want you to do right now is make a cube. So you do that by going to game object, 3D object, cube. And I want you to make like a soccer post. So make it kind of like, make the cube smaller and then stretch it out like that. And I want you to create something like this. Okay. So create something like this, and then take your character. It's going to be your goalie. And just put him like in there like that. It's kind of big for him, so maybe yours will be smaller. It probably should be a little smaller. It doesn't matter though. We're just doing this for effect. We're not actually going to be creating a real soccer game. That's kind of complex. Requires a lot of animations. But set up your scene to look something like this. Not the side step, I want to do the idle. Yeah, the goalkeeper idle. Yeah, that's the one. And then you add to pack. Add to pack first, and then you add to assets. Because you can put multiple animations in one pack. And then when you have it, then do you download? Yeah, and then make sure when you download, you queue FBX for Unity. No, right there, FBX for Unity. Yep. And if you don't want to do the Mixable thing, you can just get it off Slack as well. So, first pick a character. Oh, okay. Yes, just click characters. Should be right here. Click character. Yeah, so then you first pick a character, and then you find animation edit. And then you look for there should be goalkeeper idle. Yes, if you want to open up that scene, it should be so you can assets. And then you go to Bootcamp 2, and that's the one it does. And then that's the one where I have the brick walls kind of close. So maybe delete. It's like the 7, 6, 5, and 4. I think those are the big ones. So you can delete those, and then the other ones you can like move them out more, kind of like how I did. Yeah. And then. If you want to just kind of float up, you can do Q and E. So Q I think goes down, and E goes up. Yeah. Yep. Also, if you make your bar auto hide, then you can have more screen real estate. Your bottom bar.
Are we downloading any of the behaviors?
Yeah. So once you have them ready, then you add to my assets.
Yeah. Should I do any others?
No, this should be fine for now. Yeah. We're only going to do one animation. So we already have now with this goalie and his goalie animation, we already have an animation from earlier. We have our dance animation. Everyone should have that too. And so we don't actually need to download 2 animations. But if you want like to try like some other animations on your character, you can add to pack as well. But I'm going to show you how to switch between the one we already have. Even though you downloaded it with another character, that's totally fine, it works. So once you have your scene set up, try to add that animation onto the goalie. See if you remember how to do it. But I'll show you how to do it anyway. You should get cool as that brick wall. That's what's, I mean, cool as that big one. You should cool as it so there's yeah. And then just delete like the last one. That one and then like the last 2. So you just download a character, you haven't found animations right now. Even if it's not working or whatever, you're definitely like blocking like plugins or something, right? Every browser has WebGL nowadays. It must be selecting some plugins. Must be using like JS Blocker or something.
They usually,
You definitely have some like privacy plugins or something like that.
ad blocker.
That's what I'm saying. You have it on like turned up to like maximum mode or something like that, so it's blocking like
Everything.
What did it say? I don't know. I just have to key down with that, right?
no, you don't have an animation for it yet. You click find animations, and then you have to give goalkeeper idle. So if you don't remember how to add the animation once you have it in again, remember when you click the character, he's got an animator component on the character, but he doesn't have an animator controller. So every time you want anything to be animated like so, it needs to have an appropriate animator controller. And the way that you create one is you just right click in your project, create, and then animator controller, and you call this one like goalkeeper, and then you can go into that animator, and you remember this kind of screen that we have here. You can then drag in that animation file that you have in here, and it will automatically do the link. If you need to make it loop, you can double click that and click loop time, apply, and then the last step is you just have to put that animator controller that you made into the character right here where it says none animator controller, and character will animate. Yeah, so you gotta apply the loop. And then you just have to drag it in there. Yeah, I know you hold it. Yeah. You'll see it like the icon, like under your. Well, you have to click the character first. Yeah, you see it like it has. You should have a little icon. Oh no, you're not. So you're not creating an animation yourself. You're using the animation you downloaded. So you should have your. I believe it's this idle. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So remember, you have to. So you have the keeper, right? So that's what you go in there. Oh, you already. No, it's not opening here. The door.
This isn't the right animation. The words are from the, get the word animation.
That's funny. That is kind of funny. Yeah, delete that. I think it's functionally. Yeah, so you unfold this animation. That's the one that you downloaded off the internet. Because it already has its animation. You know, you're not going to be creating Goalie's animation, which you could, I mean, if you wanted to. But in this instance, we're using this, and then now, when you click a character, it wants this goalie. Wait, just keep. Wait, what do we call it? No, wait, this was it. I'm confused now. The keeper is an animation, which again you're not using this. You made this because you're using the animation window. Not. Yeah, this is good for later. This is from your earlier project. You were using the animation window. So this is the keyframe animations when you animate things manually. You know what I mean? We're not.
That's what I had, right?
Well, that's what you created here, but instead we're using the animation that you downloaded from Mixamo. You get it?
Yeah.
So this is what you call it. You call it memorical. That's good.
Okay, yeah.
Is that what you called it?
I didn't call it came with that.
Oh, it came with it, yeah. Well, in any case, even if you create these, you create an animator controller.
Okay.
That's what that is. You get it? And we call this one Goalie. And then in there goes your idle. You can click the idle and you make it loop or fly. And then you click the character and you put that Goalie controller in there. Even though it came with one. You can edit the one it came with or you can make a new one. But that's what we just did. You remember that? This is the same thing we did on day one. Yep. Did you set it up? Is it playing?
Yeah.
Is it looping? It's the same exact thing. Did you get the character yet?
Yeah, it's just finished.
So you have to create a. Yep.
Animator Controller.
Yeah, that's so.
And then
Goalie. Yeah.
Yeah. And then once it this.
You put the animation in. Yeah.
And did that.
Yeah. And then make it loop. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's that.
Yeah.
Go down. Yep. And then you just click the character in your scene. No, not in the project. In the scene. So just go to scene here. Get out of it. Yeah, click the character and then pull. Yeah, you did it.
I did?
Yeah. You put it in there. The Goalie in there. Now you just press play.
What?
Oh. It might be that the animation. You see something?
I had animation on here before.
Yeah, you did not download this animation directly with the character, right? You downloaded this Y-bot, and the Goalie animation came with this, right?
Yeah.
Right? So that's the difference. So let me explain. So the only way you can get like an animation from another character onto this character, and we were actually going to do that later, because we had the dance animation too. But you have to make him here humanoid, and you have to make the granny humanoid too. That's the only way it knows to retarget it, that it's a humanoid. And in the goalkeeper animation, same thing, you make it humanoid. Yeah. But, so you might be doing that now. So then you have to copy from other avatar. Did you move it? Did you put something on it? Like the move animation? You got a rigid body on it? Yeah, that might be right, because your box collider and your rigid body is making it move. Yeah. Did you put gravity in negative or something? Did you make these? What did you make these? Yeah, but that's why I was moving up. I was confused for a second. Yeah, but the only thing you have to do is you have to make everything humanoid, because it usually comes with this generic thing, and then the generics only work for kind of like themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and also I don't know how to rotate from this forward.
So you click the rotate tool, just like that.
Oh, this one?
And then don't grab by the middle like that, so undo. Yeah, grab by the little line that you see. Yeah, perfect.
Nice. And then.
So then you go to your assets, just top level, and then create an animator controller. So you right click, create. Yep, and you call it something like Goalie. Yeah, and you double click that. And then in there you pull Is that the animation file? Yes, you pull it in there. Yep, and then you double click that to make it loop. And then, so that's the animation settings, you can go down there and then loop. And then click bar. Yep. And now you can go back to your scene. Your scene is right there. And click the character. I think you might have scaled him.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so if you didn't click over it, see, so it's weird. Yeah, so fix the scale to, no, that's the rotation. Oops. So to 1. See, it's 1.1, 1.6, 1, so it's make it 1. Yeah. And then, see, that's where the animator wants to go. Click the character, it wants to, it has none. You want to put the goalie there. So that's basically the file that keeps all the animations, because you only need one animator, but you can have 100 animations. You get it? The animator is like the controller object. It controls many different animations and manage the states. Yep. So if I press play, you should be able to.
Wiggling around. Cool. I like to use my wiggling in.
Yeah, I would say pull this out of here.
Yeah. So how do I change from?
That's your main layer. You don't have the right click? Yeah, you should bind your right click to the right side of the touchpad. Just use right click a lot. That's your
You can
player.
just do 2 fingers, right?
Yeah, I know, but you're gonna have to hold right click a lot. So I always recommend everyone to. Yes, you just rotate the player.
Nice.
The player has the camera.
Awesome.
Yeah, but do that. The bind, because you're gonna need right click is the best way to navigate around.
Okay.
So, I'm a little bit confused. So we create an animation controller, and that this is animator, right?
So the animator controller,
What's the difference between those?
the animator controller, so like I was saying earlier, you could have, you only need one animator controller. That's the controller that controls this character, and that animator controller can have 100 animations in it. There's only one animator controller for a character, but there could be 100 animations inside that controller.
So that's why it looks like this.
Yeah, you see it has the little icons, so that's where you're connecting all these different animations you do. You get it? This, when you made, this is only one animation, one specific motion that you created. That's the main difference.
So if I want to go into the animation, how do I get into the animation?
So you don't really get into the animation. You made this in the first scene that you're working on, and you have to click that object in that scene. You have,
I think it was object inside.
Yeah, this is which one.
We wouldn't even have
Yeah,
it.
so in here, which one you did it on the door, right?
Yeah.
This is the door, right? Okay. You click that, and then as long as you have this animation window open, not animator, animation. So window animation, see? That one? When you click this door, that's where.
And this is like the object.
Yeah.
And then animation.
All of these.
Yeah.
Why is it open?
Yeah,
I think you opened.
I know there's something wrong thing. The character opened at the same time or something. I was recording the movie.
No, you weren't recording it. You just opened like the character's little goalie animation, which is very complex. I don't know how. Yeah, so when you click on the. Oh, I think you put it on your. Yeah, you put the controller. You made this, and then this has this complex animation, which isn't. You're actually, it's your door animation that's supposed to go against. Yeah, so now, you put your door, it actually has the stuff you did. I think because you were messing with it with the character earlier, you put by accident, you put the goalie animation on the door,
Yeah.
which wouldn't work, but you see? So this, whatever object you have clicked, it has, see, this doesn't have an animation clip. You create one. This had an animation clip, and then you edit it. This is where you edit that door animation. You get it? You don't go just into the animation itself. You have to select the object that you're doing the animation on. So, yeah, now you can go back here. Which one we're doing now?
Sphere mesh. Sphere collider.
Okay.
So,
Mesh limiter. Rigid body. Qualifier script.
so everyone's got this goalie going now. Now what we're gonna do. So I want everyone to follow along now. So have your character like this. If you still didn't build your goal yet, that's fine. That's for the next part anyway. But what we're doing with this marker man now is we're gonna do like one of the funnest things I think in Unity, and make him into a rigid body. Oh, not a rigid body, a ragdoll. So what a ragdoll does is basically the character just kind of goes limp, like it just becomes overtaken by physics, and it just kind of falls over, like realistically. So there is a tool built into Unity to do this. Now, before we turn this character into what's called a ragdoll, we want to make a copy of him directly on top of him. So just right here, all you do, I just want you to click the character and just copy and paste right there on the spot. You can also do Command D to duplicate, or Control D. But all I did was I just made a copy of him. You see now there's two of them just right on top of each other. What we're going to be doing is one copy of him is going to have the animation, one copy is going to be a rigid body.
I'm not getting a passive marker, man. I'm just getting another way. Oh wait. I must have used it wrong. Never mind.
Yeah, it's just passive marker man is what character I picked. Depends on your character. So now what I want you to do is I want you to rename one of these, whatever, you know, passive marker man, and then the other one I'm naming him passive marker man ragdoll. So for you it'll be whatever, but just make sure you name them appropriately. And once you have this, so you have two objects, I want you to select the non-ragdoll one and hide it. Just by, when you have it selected, there's a little check mark here in the inspector. You can just turn off that object, and then you'll see it just kind of gray out here in the hierarchy. Yeah, so don't make them next to each other, make them like right on top of each other. So, and then just, you know, just rename one of them. Yeah, and then the other one, hide it. So, just, you don't delete it, but hide it just by disabling it here. When you disable it, it goes gray. See that? So,
So I guess it doesn't matter which one's on the top of that.
doesn't matter. Okay. There's no really on top or not. As long as they're just kind of pretty much on top of each other like that. Got it? Got it? Alright. So now let's make this guy into a ragdoll, right? So here's how you do it. You go to Game Object and 3D Object, Ragdoll. You see that? So it'll open up a little window like this. And what you're going to notice is that it's asking for the different bones of the character. Pelvis, left hips, left knee, etc. So to get to the bones of the character, you select the character here in the hierarchy and you expand this tree. And in there you should find the hips. So now here's where a little bit of improvisation comes in. Every different artist does their character differently. So, you know, another man's hips is another man's pelvis. You know, one man's left up leg is another man's left like thigh. So it kind of, you know, different people have a different naming convention, but you can kind of assume that if it asks for the pelvis here, it probably asks for, you know, the top level, which is usually like the hips. So most 3D characters start here kind of like at the pelvis, at the hips. You see that where usually the origin is? So the reason is because that's kind of like the core of the bones of the character. The legs kind of come from there, and the spine kind of comes from there. So that's why most 3D artists usually start with the pelvis. That's kind of the root bone that kind of connect, that if you move the pelvis, you move everything with it, basically. So what I want you to do is when you have your ragdoll version of the character opened here, I want you to pull the hips here into the pelvis. The next thing that it wants is it wants the left hips and the left knee. So we can kind of assume that the left hips here is the left up leg. For you, it might say something else. And then the left knee is the left leg in this instance. And then the left foot is the left foot. So you can see it kind of eventually reaches the appropriate naming convention. And then now you can, close that leg and then go to the right up leg, which is the right hips. And then the right leg, put in the right knee, the right foot, right foot. So that's it for that. Now what it wants is it wants the left arm. So the left arm is in the hips. You see you have left leg, right leg, or left thigh, right thigh. And then you have spine. You should usually have spine in there somewhere. So open the spine and you'll see a bunch of spines. Spine 1, spine 2, spine 3. Now I think I showed this in one of the earlier classes, but notice like if you grab like one of the spines and you rotate it, you'll see your character do this, right? So just some nice aerobics. So open the spine and you can see I got the left shoulder, left arm. So I don't want the left shoulder or the left clavicle because that's kind of, it's too deep in here. I actually want the left arm. So put the left arm in the left arm and you open that. Left forearm I can assume is left elbow in this instance. And then do the same thing. Don't put the right shoulder, but put the right arm and then the right forearm for the right elbow. And then it wants the middle spine. So the middle spine in my instance is spine 1. But it doesn't matter, I think, if you pick spine 2 or something. Just try to find the spine that's kind of here in the middle. You put that spine in there. And the last thing it wants is the head. And you can find the head if you go all the way down the spines and then neck. You open the neck and there's a neck 1 in there. For me, for you it might not be. The head is right there.
What about foot toe base?
Just ignore that. Yes. You should probably want the thing that's above that.
You should have a spine on the ragdoll.
It should be all the way at the bottom. It's spine. First it wants the left arms and the right arms, and then it wants the spine. So yours should kind of look like this. So once you fill it all up, so again, like you could just kind of assume, that like left hips in this instance is left up leg. You could just kind of like just open it up and see the list that it goes down on. Again, your character might be a little bit different, but that's fine as long as you understand the concept. So you want left elbow, so you go to the left shoulder. Yeah, and then you have the left arm. Yeah.
The bones. Display them.
Yes, so that's probably the spine one.
Starts here. And all the pieces extend.
You miss some?
So
left
the up
knee
leg means the top of the
is
leg.
so left leg, open left leg.
That would be left hips. Left hips is left up.
Yes, so you have a left leg could be left knee in this instance, let's say. Because left leg is left hip. That's left foot. Yes, you put left leg, and then in there is left foot. The left foot and the left foot. See that? And then do the same with the right. So open the right leg, and you can put. So you put the right leg, the right foot in the right foot, and the right leg in the right. And then do the same thing. So now you just have the head left. So the head should be down there in neck. You just have to scroll down. It should be good. Right there. Over there.
Yeah, some of them, it keeps rejecting them and then eventually it will accept them again.
Yeah, I was going to do that.
Kind of rough. the overall. It eventually works.
Yeah, having the map, yeah, it's actually open up hips. Because everything like extension knows.
Then the hip is not on the hip, is it?
The spine isn't good. The hips is like the center point of the body.
You don't put the right forearm in the.
So spine, neck, a little spine.
It's crazy. Why would you put the head into the
Well, no, the head, I mean,
I guess
it doesn't go from top of the body to the bottom. It starts at the center of the body, and then there's two legs, and then upper torso. You know what I mean? Like both sides
Try-
of the middle.
Maybe try clicking this. And then
I'm sure they would, obviously, the right one.
maybe.
I do know it's done, you know. Yeah, it's like the core of the body. You know.
Because now you don't know which one's from the ragdoll, which one is
Yeah.
it. That's weird. Try to drag him in.
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's just taking a little bit longer. There it is.
Yeah, but make sure it's the right form because you have two characters in the scene.
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay.
Wiggles already?
The spine one, I'd say. Deadlift.
Like spine one and spine two.
Yeah, spine one.
I'm sure it's the elbow.
Oh,
Elbow
that-
is the forearm.
Yeah, it's just start with left arm.
Right elbow be the forearm.
Yeah, right forearm. Maybe like that. And then head is in the neck.
Head top end or
Just head.
But you just click on it first.
So once you have that all in there,
there's
you
no
can.
pelvis also.
So pelvis is hips, probably. Pelvis is like the root bone. It's like the first bone. And then when you got that, click create. And now you should see that if you click your character fully, you can see that he has these kind of colliders all around the different body parts. So if I press play now, you should see that the character just kind of, well actually no, he won't. He'll still animate. But if you just kind of click the character, and if I turn off the animator, you'll see that he just kind of falls over. Like that. It won't do the fall over unless you turn off the animator, but if you just remove this animator too, that works. So it won't take over the physics if you have animation. Animation always takes precedence over physics. Yeah, so you'd have to click the character, so just go, just get used to kind of closing all of these, you can just close the top level one. Yeah, so click the ragdoll character, the whole character. And then just turn off its animator. Because the animator always takes over the physics. So when there's no animator, it'll just fall over. So now you can drop the character over upstairs or whatever, they'll just kind of tumble. You know what I mean? So give them
Crashed on me.
Yeah, mine got crushed too.
I cracked also.
Oh, okay. So sorry about that. So make sure, okay, before you do it, turn off the animator. Because my computer can handle it and it didn't crash. But on a weaker computer, that might be too much physics. So
Does that mean that we lost something?
well, if you did, I can just export this as well.
Yeah, that would actually save.
Yeah. So again, just make sure your character does not have an animator here, because if it does, then the animator competes with the physics, and yeah. So if everyone crashed, that's probably why. I will go ahead and export this.
Can you modify those joint assignments after you?
No, you can't. You need to remake it. Yeah. That's why I said to make a copy of it, just in case. So
So wait, we don't put creative.
you can just don't press play. I think when you press play, if you don't have, yeah, the animator messed it up. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm checking the animator.
Maybe.
And make sure you save your scenes. I uploaded the new package right now with the ragdoll. You don't need to start a new project or anything. You just double click the package and it will only import the missing files. So it's right there. Yeah, so the principle here is that what we basically want to happen in code is, you see like one character, we have the animated character, right? And then what we want to do is when this character collision happens, this character gets turned off, boom, like that, and then this character gets turned on. So when that's what happens to the goalie when he gets hit, he just gets knocked out. Like, so that's the basic premise. So it's as simple as just turning one object off and turning another one on. So that happens in a split second and you don't even see the switch happen. But the basic principle remains the same. You have two objects in two states. One object in like one state and another object in another. Again, you could do like this switch just by turning off the animator too, sure, but you can see it crashes some computers. It's not the most optimal way to do it. The most optimal way to do it is to have two versions of the object. And what we're going to do is we're going to write a little script that basically does that switch. And you're going to see how important of an effect that is. So just going to go around and make sure everyone's got this ragdoll in. And again, like if you crash, maybe just feel free to import too. I think it's importing all my feedback.
Yeah.
So you're supposed to untitled.
Yeah, well, I figured, yeah.
It's just, oh, I thought it would only import this.
Yeah, it's I have the whole feedback there. Let's take a 5-minute break, and then we'll go back. We'll get into scripting.